Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a pleasant Saturday morning. A few housekeeping notes before we start the webinar. Please turn off your videos and keep the mics muted during the course of the presentation. In the Q&A session at the end of the webinar, you can unmute yourself to ask questions. Else, you can also type down your queries in the chat box. We'll do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with active participation from the audience. However, in case of any technical glitch, kindly be patient. We'll sort it out soon. A quick round of intro about us. This insightful session is brought to you by Oren, an award-winning platform delivering EHS solutions to enterprises, be it for compliance requirements or for strategic reasons. I am Amlan, presently associated with Oren as a consultant and your host for today. We're joined by an industry veteran, Mr. Pranab Ghosh, Chief Sustainability Officer at Adani Total Gas. He's an expert in HSE and sustainability with over 2.5 decades of experience in varied industries, including water, wastewater, chemicals, oil and gas. He served as a leader for companies of the highest caliber, which includes the likes of Schlumberger, BP, Mahanagar Gas, and Asian Paints. His forte lies in implementation of ESG strategy on ground. He is a firm believer of ESG being the next big cult and that companies must look at it from a holistic perspective. He has a Master of Science in Chemistry from IIT Kharagpur and a Master of Technology in Environmental Engineering from IIT Bombay. In addition to this, he holds a certificate in Applied Behavioral Analysis from the University of Nevada, Reno. Some of his hobbies include fitness activities, traveling and meeting new people, and playing outdoor sports. So, without further ado, I'll quickly set the agenda for the webinar titled on how to achieve BRSR reporting readiness. So, the primary focus will be on the nitty-gritties of BRSR, and a section will also be dedicated on how Adani Total Gas as an entity is approaching the same. So, apart from this, there are a few questions that we received from the participants while they filled the registration form. So, we'll be taking up after the main agenda as well. And towards the end, as I rightly mentioned upfront, you can type down your questions in the chat box and we'll be happy to take it at the end of the session. So before we jump on to the discussion mode, sir, any quick comments that you'd like to make?
No, thank you, Amlan, for the nice introduction. And I welcome a very good morning to one and all participants on this call. And I really appreciate people taking their time on Saturday. Many of them might be having a holiday vacation on Saturday weekend, but still they have joined. It shows how closely, how close this topic to their heart of their, heart and minds, I would say, of each individual. So that shows that commitment, and for me, same as well. It is a working day for me, but still I see this topic is close to me. More, I think, more I share, more I interact with people, more benefit I get. At the same time, whatever little experience I have, I think that gives practical experience, I would say. So that gives others got benefited, and since this issue of sustainability is much wider, I would say, and a global issue, and we are talking about very big challenges which is going to come for our future generation, and it is a kind of a social cause, I would say. That we are all together to overcome this situation, correct? So I once again welcome and thank everybody for taking the time and joining, and thank Oren, Amlan, and you all team to organizing this, right, and to spread this awareness, which is very required. So I will give all the details, what we are doing, and whatever small way we have started doing it, and I think there is no end of it. More we do, better it is, correct? Yeah, over to you, Amlan. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. And just a quick note, participants, if you have any questions during our discussion as well, kindly type it down in the chat box. We'll be happy to take it at the end. So let's get the ball rolling. Sir, if you can, initially on a broader level, discuss primarily on how the reporting cycle looks like for BRSR. What has the SEBI asked for, or what if companies are also willing to do it on a voluntary basis? How
Okay.
they should go about doing it?
No, I think Amlan is a good question, but before going to nitty-gritty of the reporting, I want everybody to get to the background. It's happened to me as well. I am not a very hardcore sustainability professional. I am mainly health safety, and then I am trying to understand this topic and this area. So what I see from my own experience, that before going into the nitty-gritty of reporting, first we have to understand what is the purpose, what is the big picture of this BRSR reporting, and how it will help in the organization. So initially, I thought let's take it as a tick box exercise. You know, you do another filling of a form and do it. But believe me, when I started doing it, I see quite different picture, and everybody would go through that experience, right, when they started. So what the background, what I see is that everybody knows that how the climate change situation is setting up. You believe it or not, I think from the pre-industrial state, 18th century now, there is more than 1 degree of change in temperature. And what the IPCC recent report, all of you might have seen, they have really shared their concern, and I would say warn the global community that if we don't do the COP27, COP26, you know, all the targets which the Paris agreements we talked about, all the nations, then we will be in great danger. And when I going through this IPCC report, the pictures, the flood, the hurricane, many of the vulnerability spot I see in India, you know, lots of floods and all the damages happens, which are in billion dollars. And last decade specifically, there is the climate is much warmer. Now, if I say all these things to you and, you know, to my team, to my company, they don't see it as a really a challenge. They see, I mean, it is going to happen, but it is going to happen, and whole world. And the same way our Honorable Prime Minister, and you see the national agenda is NDC, the targets we have taken. We are all aligned now. And as a company, now if we don't do, as a corporate, responsible corporate, if we don't align ourselves with this nationally determined goal and target, then we are not doing our bit. I think all the company, if you see all multinational companies, all big companies, including Adani and ITC, you say all companies, the way they are working on sustainability agenda, it is phenomenal. And all of us, we want to contribute based on our knowledge and expertise. And this is the right opportunity for all these professional, I would say, on HSE, EHS, environment, safety, all the professional to join in this bandwagon and help the country and help the nation to surpass this situation, correct? So with this bigger objective, I would say, this reporting is come. Now, once you go through the reporting, BRSR, it is as you know, this is a SEBI-mandated, top 1,000 listed company. They have make it mandatory to report from 2023. This financial year, we have to do that. But many companies, you know, including us, we did it last year itself. You know, we didn't wait for the mandatory week to come. We did it before and see. It is a kind of a gap analysis for us when we did it, right? And now we are in better place this year that we have all the identified gaps, so that we're working on. So when we submit it, when it is required as per SEBI, we will be much better place. I think many companies in India, they have done it, and they have been doing it last few years. So, this BRSR report, I think it is aligned with all the international reporting disclosure standard like GRI. You say it's CDP. You talked about UNSDG goals. So all these things are aligned with this BRSR report. And another thing, I just give you a layman view how BRSR helped the business. Now, earlier, many of us might be accustomed with the CSR, because CSR has been, going on last many years, 20, 30 years. It has been mandatory that 2% of your profit goes to that CSR fund for utilizing for social cause. But there is a prime difference between these two, is that in CSR is actually you are using your profit to for the social cause, right? And you are contributing it. But BRSR, I would say, it helps you to earn that profit. So this is actually one step ahead of CSR. It's a big picture. It's kind of I would say it is integrated in the business, and the way the principles, the design has been made, if it is followed, any company, maybe it's small, big, startup, if they follow this principle, I think they would be very visible in the corporate or in the corporate and industry body, and they will stand out. And definitely the customer, stakeholder, I would say investor, everybody will like that kind of company who actually delivering those BRSR indicators proper manner, and they are doing year-on-year improvement on those on those indices. And so there is a indirect benefit, I would say. And this is not a financial disclosure. You have seen financial disclosure in an annual report, which is on numbers, profit, your operation, your all these things. But this is purely a non-financial disclosure, which everybody, I think, in the community, society, investing community, banks, everybody is looking for your financial disclosure. And I will tell that this year, the first sustainability report standalone we have published. You can see it is in the public domain in our website. This is our first sustainability report, and where we accumulate all these things which we are doing, and we see that we also got surprised that so much of things has been happening in our company, but we have not really put it in a consolidated manner and share it with the public. And so that is the testimony. You can see it in our website. There's our sustainability report, which is again aligned with BRSR and GRI and UNSG requirement. So coming back to then, I'm just giving the backdrop of this BRSR. So now coming back to the BRSR, your question, right, Amlan? If you can please connect me again to your question.
Around the reporting life cycle of the BRSR.
Yes. So I give a little bit about the reporting requirements. Now there are three sections. If you broadly see, I will not go very detailed in it. You will go all this, but I will give you the very summary. There are three sections: Section A, Section B, and Section C. So each section has a principle, right? And the section is basically of your general information about the company, about your number of employee, it's a general information. And section B is talked about more of a your operation, your processes, your management, your hierarchy, your organization. So it is about section B. And section C is more of a that actually the ESG principle. There are 9 principles, which is actually bucketed in the ESG, environment, social, and governance bucket. And these 9 principles are, and in each principle there are questions. And there is a difference between BRR, which we are doing before. BRR is more of a business responsibility report, which is very basic, and not much of information was there. And now business responsibility and sustainability reporting has more, I would say, quantitative. It is very quantitative. Earlier in annual report, integrated annual report, people used to report a lot of sustainability and your social part in a very qualitative manner. They used to provide, whatever information suits them, some good practices they have done. But mind it, BRSR is more, I would say, objective, right? They are talking about, if you're talking about water consumption, what is your water consumption? How much you are going to reduce? What is your target? What is your per volume, per product, whatever you are generating, water consumption? So there is the indicators are very sharp. The KPIs are very sharp. And it's what is your material topic? You can't say, what you are doing in general. Is it material to you? Is it it is material to the stakeholder? So it is really done with a very thorough research and analysis by SEBI to align with these questions. So, so now I'm talking about this principle. So that's principle 1 is covering about governance. It's talk about, and that is the cracks of any businesses. You have seen many businesses, how they have gone out of business, right? You have seen Enron, you have seen, there are, I have not named many, but some of the companies, how they are vanishing from the market because of their poor governance. And the sustainability, the environment, and all the social, all these things, you could name it, cannot work if the governance structure of the company is not robust, and their survival is at stake. Then all these things doesn't really matter, So that is a very basic, fundamental, and I would say the most important part of ESG is the governance. Anything you do, if you do not have the governance structure, the committee driven by the top management, driven by the board, I would say, and with a committee, then nothing will work. It will have just a, I would say, greenwash, you call it, check in the box. That will happen, and it will happen initially. I will tell you that. But when more awareness, more acceptance of this particular issues company will integrate, then they will realize it and they will develop it in more robust manner. So first is the principle is the governance. Second is actually the how you are providing your goods and services in a sustainable manner, right? You're talking about your supply chain, how you source your product, what kind of packaging, what kind of, what is the safety of the product. So it is about whole of your supply chain, right? And which is a major part of it, your business, which it is not in your boundary, it is outside your boundary, but it creates that alignment with your supply chain. The questions are very good. And who is your contractor, who is your stakeholder, and etc. And then third is your employee well-being. And it is very well said that the characters build at home. Whatever you do, first you have to start with your own company. And now employee is your asset. The contractor, the people who are working with you, they are your asset. How you are treating them. So that's very, very important. And sustainability comes with that. It is not about climate change. It is not about a big thing, but it is a thing which the existence of the company is its employee, right? And its contractor, the business partner. We tell it not contractor. We tell it the business partner. Anybody associating with us, be it a contractor, be it as a consultant, they are our business partner. They are equally responsible to drive the business the same way we do with us. So that is very, very covered very well in that section. And then principle 4 is about the stakeholder engagement. Now, any business cannot be stands out if we do not have the stakeholder properly engaged. It's about community, it's about customer, it's about regulator, it's about investor, it's about a whole lot of things. How they are, they matter to you, and how you, matter to them. And that is the interaction. How is the communication? How what are the issues can make them unhappy? What are the issues keep them make them delightful? So these are the whole lot they are talking about in that principle. Have we identified them? What is their concern? What risk we have if they are not aligned with us? And what measures we will take? So that's clearly talking about this principle. And then principle 5 is very important. It's about human rights, how you treat, how you pay. It's about your gender. It's about your how you treat them, your kind of wages, how you train them. There are a lot of policies like anti-corruption, sexual harassment. So all these things are actually the part of this principle, human rights. It's human rights. Remember, it's not only your organization, it's your contractor. How they are treating their employee. Is a child labor. It's a wages. All these things, right? Minimum wages. How they are doing their businesses. And then principle 6 is environment. Environment is again a very, very big topic. It's a core also. It's one of the core topic. We're talking about how you are actually managing the planet. I would say it's basically none of the things, the resource not belong to me or belongs to us. It belongs to the nature. We are not supposed to use it in a very irresponsible manner. So the resources are like water, resources is like air, your land, your energy, which are coming from the fossil fuel, which is again a resource. So it's about planet, how you are protecting the planet in a very responsible manner. So there are a lot of indicators is being tracked, and that would help the company to see how responsibly they are managing. And then the principle 7 are basically the advocacy, the regulatory part. What are the regulations? How you are associated with different bodies? How you are ensuring that you are through your advocacy and through your engaging with different channel helps the ESG, correct, in the industry. So that is a positive manner, not in a kind of advocacy in terms of for a self-interest, right? So this is about the principle 7. Principle 8 is your in kind of a community, in inclusive commitment. It's about social responsibility. It's what you are doing for the society, for the poorer section, for where you are operating mainly, right? How in and around communities are affected, and you are taking care of them. And then, and last principle is about your customer, and they are actually the crux of your business, and your business would be sustainable if your customers are happy with you. They see you as a long-term partner for working with you, and it is always not price. It is about how you are doing it. So with this principles, you can elaborate it and make it more effective, right? So these principles are very with the questions very nicely they have given in a format, and also there is a lot of scope on qualitative. Each of them you can put your qualitative response by putting what you are doing, correct? So and each of these principles, there are two part. One part is that you put it in a basic approach, and you put it a leadership indicator. They are given both. It's called light and comprehensive. So initially you may go with the light version. You don't need to put those leadership indicator where they are talking about much more detailed questions. Naturally, when you are starting at the beginning, you may not have the bandwidth to respond those high-level questions, right? Like one question I would say on leadership indicator is a leadership question is that how you calculate your scope 3 emission, which is very advanced. Many companies are still struggling to capture their scope 3 emission. A question like how your water consumption coming from different sources, and how your wastewater is discharged to different level, and how you characterize. It's a quite advanced if you see those questions, right? So which, yes, some companies, those who have started their journey, they'll be able to respond. But those companies that are starting, yes, will be difficult. So SEBI has, in the question, it is clearly mentioned that way. So you can, in the first time, you can go with the light version, and then year on year, you can see the improvement. And every question, there are responses you have last year versus this year. So it will be seen that whether your improvement is there or not, right? Fine. You may not have improvement, but you put the facts. Don't be saying for sake of showing we have improved, you put some number. No, because these numbers, remember, these numbers is to be auditable, is verifiable. Like what we have done. We have done this verification by a third party. Whatever data we put, so those data has been checked through from the source, verifiable source. Like if we have said that water consumption is 1,000 liter, so they have gone to see how this 1,000 liter has come. What is the source of measuring? Yes, water meter. Some cases we do not have water meter, some location. So we have done some assumption. Okay, show me that calculation, how we have calculated that assumption. Fine. So they are happy with that, and they certify your BRSR report with a third-party certification, and we put that part of the BRSR report. So then, when the investor, the bank, the stakeholder sees your report, they see, yes, this is not a company who has just written these numbers. It is verified by a third party like DNB or Intertech, or all these companies who are very international repute and have done it. So I would recommend the company to do an assurance of your report through a third party. That would help in your credibility, and also you will learn to see what the information they are seeking for. So when next time when you will do your data collection or your internal thing, you will start developing those processes to match those international or good practices, correct? So that will help when you run yourself through this assurance process, correct? So I think that is the journey. So what we did, Amla and all the audience. So once we start BRSR last year, we first gone through those questions, and then we distributed those questions to the respective stakeholder. Like for the governance, there is a CS team, there are CFOs, and they have gone through this. For certain principles on HR side, your human rights, your employee well-being, your all these things, HR has gone through it. The supply chain related questions are coming to the techno-commercial, your supply chain procurement team. They are going through it. Then environment, of course, your EHS team. There are employee well-being. Safety is a lot of questions on safety, so they are going through this. So after that, we did a meeting, right, and interaction, and then what data is available, what data is not available. This is very, very important. Like many cases, you will see that you do not have the data. So then you start, collecting this data and put it in a format and see where are you, and see last year where are you. So just putting that in a landscape, you will see yourself that yes, we are doing good or bad, right? So you will see that my gender diversity is this much percentage. So management says, okay, so we have to do something on this to employ more, women in the cadre, in the different section, wherever we can, to increase our gender diversity, right? So you see your water consumption, and you see your wastewater discharge, you see your emission. Like many companies, when we did 2 years ago, we did the carbon footprinting. Now it is everybody's talk about GHG emission, your CO2 emission, but where it comes from, just put those inventory, and then calculation is very simple. There are standards, there are methods. You can calculate your emission, scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3, right, later on. So these are the questions you will see in the BRSR, correct? And then you start developing it, and then you see where you are. Yes, some cases you do not have the information. You say, yes, we are not measuring those information so far, but we are putting a team in place. So declare your intention. Put really what you want to do. So that will really help to see the picture, when the SEBI investor and everybody will see, the stakeholder, the public will see your report, and that will really give a good impression about the company, correct, of your intention. So that's about the cycle, right, of BRSR, correct, because we have gone through it, and it is a truly, I would say, excellent experience being an HSC and sustainability professional. I got to learn a lot of things on governance, which is abstract to me, but I see those really in close manner, how it operates, how boards operate, how different committee of the boards operate. So you will also, really have a very nice experience when you run through this BRSR as a coordinate this whole exercise. Yeah.
Thank you for the detailed answer, sir. Sir, upon registration, we have received a lot of queries regarding materiality assessment, identifying those material topics, and also against each of this, how do we go about identifying risks and opportunities? And followed by that, if there are certain KPIs which can be tracked under each of the material topics that we've identified. So if you can just shed some light on that.
Yes. So, so materiality is kind of a crux of this whole ESG. I mean, as I told, which is you work which is material to you, right? You don't work which is not material to you. So who will tell you what is material to you? Your stakeholder, your employee, your management, your customer, your regulator, your contractor, all your stakeholder will tell you what is material to you. So what we did, we make a questionnaire, right? And there is an exhaustive list of questionnaire, and we send this questionnaire to all the stakeholder, like as I said, customer, contractors, employee, management team, board of directors, and our communities. So, and we collected those responses, right? And it's very good exercise, you collected responses and you see there are some things you never realize that this could be material to you, but it is really material to you, right? And I'll give an example, right? One question we received that how our company is doing or measuring the complaints of the noise which is coming from some DG said or some of our operation during the construction, right? So this kind of things will come, which is matters to the public or stakeholder, which you think, sitting in a ivory tower, sitting in a glass room, you may not understand those things. So it is very important that you send this questionnaire to everybody, as I said, different section of your stakeholder, and collect these responses. And you analyze those responses, right? Go through those responses through your team, to your management, and prioritize them, which is, in a matrix you can do, which is the priority and impact matrix you can do, and see if it is a high priority, if it has a more impact. So take them as a most material topic to you, correct? Like you will see for us, emission, because we are a oil and gas your company, our own emission as well as the product we are selling. So we will have that is a material topic. Since we are dealing with millions of customers, yes, customer satisfaction is the material topic. So same way, it will come to your business also, correct? And then you run it through your management that these are the coming from our prioritization. Still, do you think we need to adjust, take little more refining? You do the refinement, and then you see those material topic. Try to find a KPI for each of them. Yes, if it is a material for us, what exactly we need to do to reduce that materiality, the severity of that impact, right? If emission is the material to you, what would be your KPI? Reduction of electricity, reduction of whatever. I mean, you take KPI which actually is meaningful or measurable for you, right? You cannot take that, I will reduce GHG emission, but how? What you are going to do? Put those as your KPI to achieve that, right? What is your goal in decarbonization? How you are going to do? You are replace your, like for us, all our vehicles, we have at this moment converted it from diesel to CNG, right? Now, what will be the next stage? When the battery comes, we will do that. So what innovation you are going to do? So all this material topic will have a clear-cut KPI to achieve those kind of, to make those material topic manageable.
Sir, I think upfront you mentioned something around the robust governance practices that a company must have so that it directly relates to their ESG performance as well, in some sense. Something very closely related to it, which is around the policy formulation bit,
Yeah.
when the BRSR is asked for in quite a bit of detail. So if we can just focus a bit on that as well. Thanks.
Yeah, so governance, the governance start with the policy, right? I mean, you cannot just say that we are doing this and that, but what is your policy? So there are several policy we have implemented, like policy on human rights, policy on sustainability. What is our policy? What is the company's what they think, what they are going to do? Policy on your sexual harassment, policy on your anti-bribery, anti-corruption. So there are a hell lot of policy. When one can go through our website and they will see in the investor section, all those policies have been highlighted there. And these policies are signed by top management and they have been implemented. Now, and the second stage, once you've done the policies, the second stage, your governance structure. What is the body who is going to see the deliverable of this policy, right? After the policy comes your second stage, your process and procedure to achieve that policy. Now, who will oversight that? So at board level, there are different committees, right? Those committees are actually oversighting those implementation of policy. Like we have a committee like Corporate Responsibility Committee, Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. There are a committee on stakeholder engagement. There are policy on your remuneration. So it is all very robust way. They at the board at the top level, they are measuring and they're monitoring how you are implementing it. Correct? Like every quarter, I have to give the performance of each of our corporate responsibility indicator where we are, and then there is a terms of reference of each committee, and that we have to deliver as per terms of reference of that committee and ensure that we cover everything and present it to the board, and they give you guidance where we are doing good, where we are not doing good. So that way, the robust governance process of each of these need to be tied up.
Thank you so much for a detailed answers till now. So I think we're done with the core agenda of the discussion. So now we'll be moving on to the Q&A session. But before that, we have received a lot of queries asking of what we as a company do and how we help entities on the BRSR journey. So let's have a quick glimpse of our data management tool that can catapult to your ESG reporting process, so that you can also get a view of how technology and ESG can run hand in hand and what key role does it have to play. So Sai, can you just share your screen?
Sustainability related data points and make every business needs a sustainability strategy. Be it because of regulatory policies or investor expectations, or maybe because of consumer preferences. How are you adapting to this rapidly changing scenario? Based on our conversations with CXOs, board of directors, and company secretaries, we have learned that the hardest part of having a sustainability strategy is managing the thousands of sustainability related data points and making sense of them through the numerous Excel sheets, reports, and documents. About 90% of businesses today are struggling to measure their sustainability data. We have built a simple solution to solve this problem and help you through your BRSR reporting journey. Say hello to Prism by Oren. An award-winning platform, Prism will help your company reach your sustainability goals and create your BRSR report in 4 simple steps. Step 1, collect. Use automation to collect data from all departments like HR, operations, sales, finance, etc. Then measure. Prism runs calculations to convert your enterprise data into sustainability data. Then validate. You can invite your auditors to Prism to validate your sustainability data. And lastly, report. With Prism, you can report on multiple reporting standards like BRSR, GRI, CDP, TCFD, etc. with just a click of a button. Prism is built for organizations large and small, global and local. So let's get started today.
Thank you so much, sir. So that was all about the data management platform, which helps in preparing the ASH report in a very smooth sailing way. Now, let's jump onto the Q&A session. So we have received a few questions in the chat box. We'll take up a few of them too. So the first question is, I think Sir has already, so are all parts of the BRSR mandatory, or is there some relaxation across sections? Like, can a company not disclose scope 3 emissions if they don't want to? Sir, I believe you spoke about the leadership and essential criteria. So the leadership criteria are voluntary at the moment, and the essential ones are mandatory and binding on the companies. Post that, we have, are there any penalties if mandated firms fail to perform BRSR? So, sorry, the person is asking if there are some legal repercussions around not fulfilling or complying to some or most of the BRSR requirements that SEBI has asked for.
No, I think BRSR is mandatory. If you are top 1,000 listed company in top 1,000 in terms of your market cap, then it is mandatory. You have to file that, right? If you don't do it, I think you will get a notice. I'm sure for that. Now, coming back to some of the data points, if you don't fill it, yes, I mean, I don't see that would be a problem, but that will not be taken very positive manner. That why we are not disclosing, why we are hiding, right? If you do not have a reason, if you have a reason, that's fine. But if you do not have any reason, intentionally you want to, keep it, like that, keep it in a dark, then definitely nobody wants that, right? Remember, this report would be checked by your top management, right? Your board of directors, right? Before it goes into the SEBI. So they will go through it definitely. If you put something in a suspicious manner or not putting it, that will not really go well. Right? Yes, there are some information you do not have. You do not have a system and process. That's fine. You disclose that we do not have at this moment, but we are putting these measures to get this information in next year, right? Something like that.
So I think there's a question along similar lines of how does SEBI check if the submitted BRSR report is valid and the company is honestly complying with the ESG principles? So we briefly spoke about the audit and assurance process.
Yes.
We summarize it.
Yeah, because remember these reports, what you are saying, it is signed by your top of the management and everything. No company will do that, if it is, they will check, like my data is checked internally by internal assurance team, right? And whatever I'm putting, right? And as a head of the department, I have to give a declaration. Whatever I am putting from my best of my knowledge, all these things. So I think just like your financial report, there are auditors, there are assurance. So similarly, in BRSR also, it is going through the assurance process. Correct.
Absolutely, sir. So one more question on this note is that so CSR is like a subset of the BRSR report, and of late there have also been reports which state that there have been misallocation of CSR funds and a bit of greenwashing on that front, which you also mentioned, right? So how can stakeholders address this concern?
Yeah, I mean, again, this is you have right of information, right? If you want to know something about a company, about certain things, you have right to know, right? That is a legal requirement. So you can always go and check that. And also in when they are doing this financial report and when you are putting a CSR expenditure, so that the auditor definitely check where you have done these expenses. I don't think people can play with that, right?
Sir, you touched upon principle like the second section or section D, and also in some of the principles, there are some mandatory trainings which are to be provided to employees as per the various laws that are applicable. Can you just give a few examples of that?
So mandatory training like your health and safety training on human rights, training on your sustainability or environmental issues. So these are the mandatory training is required, right? For ESG. Yes, you may not have everything, but start with these trainings. You must ensure awareness training, training on customers safety. If your product has any issues or deal with customer, training to your contractors on human rights, anti-corruptions, and all these things. So those are, with the start with, right?
Absolutely. So you also talk about the different scope emissions, 1, 2, and 3. So someone's asked whether the scope emissions or the CO2 emissions from the cars registered in the name of the company, whether it needs to be calculated or not.
No, if the car is not belongs to your company, if you are hiring, then it is a scope 3, right? It is not your direct. So scope, that definition of scope 1 and scope 2. Scope 1 is your direct emission, like you are burning fuel, you are burning gas, boilers, and all this. Your scope 1. Scope 2 is your indirect, like electricity and all that. Electricity, that is scope 2. You are using somebody else is burning fossil fuel for you to generate that electricity. And scope 3 is the one which is like car you are using for employee commute, right? Those are not directly for your operation. So those comes in scope 3. So scope 3 at this moment is not mandatory in BRSR, but many companies have started measuring them as well. Yeah.
Great. So, as to the best of my knowledge, the SEBI has mandated the comprehensive version of the BRSR to be kind of that is applicable to the top 1,000 listed entities. But they've also come up with a voluntary standard by the name of BRSR Lite. So,
Right.
participants are asking what's the difference between the light version and the comprehensive one.
Light version, as I said, you don't need to put those leadership. That is voluntary, right? So those are more of a light version, right? Which only filling the essential questions. Yeah.
Okay. And we have another question, which is third-party verifiers who are auditing the BRSR report. Do they need to registered under the SEBI as a verifier?
Yes, they have a certification. Yes, let me check what they have mentioned in their certificates. So yeah, if I go through that certificate, so they are International Federation of Accounts, IFSC, International Standard on Assurance Engagement, ISC, ISAE 3000, assurance engagement, that is a standard, international standard. They are, party to that, right? So they are highly, I would say, competent and authorized. But yes, they are not SEBI authorized, I would say. Maybe SEBI would come up with those kind of registered third party. But at this moment, I have not heard that. I'll check that.
Sure. So you mentioned about the audits and assurance in great detail, but you spoke about primarily the external assurance or the third-party assurance. So just like to know from you whether internal verification or validation is accepted or not.
Yes, and BRSR internal verification is also accepted.
Okay. So we have another question, which is there are already multiple frameworks in the public domain, like by global organizations, be it the GRI, CDP, and TCFD. What was the reason behind SEBI coming up with a new version or new framework altogether by the name of BRSR?
No, actually, what happened? There are in ESG there are so many standards and disclosure requirements like CDP, GRI. I sometimes got confused. Which one to follow. Then Dow Jones Index. So I mean, this area has a lot of complexity, I would say. So what I think SEBI has tried to do, they have tried to make it simpler, at least in the Indian context. And they have come up with those requirements, nice manner, which is again aligned with those requirements. We have done a gap assessment. I can see majority of the cases, their BRSR questions are actually addressing most of the international standard disclosure requirement. So I think every country, I think they come up with their own way of doing it, so that it is customized, I would say. So that may be the reason for doing it.
So sir, there's a question around the carbon footprinting of the GHG accounting exercise. So are the emission factors to be used for this purpose listed by SEBI, or are there other frameworks like the, as you might have mentioned, the GHG protocol or the ISO?
So there is a GHG protocol. There is a GHG protocol. There is a ISO 14064. There is another standard. You can use it for your emission calculation, right? But it is not a big deal. I mean, it's not a rocket science. It's a simple stoichiometry they follow, right? Like if you are using diesel, what is the emission factor? If using electricity, what is the emission factor? So these factors are well defined. Yeah.
Exactly. I believe so for the databases of emission factors and global warming potentials, we use the IPCC as a reference, right?
Correct. Like even some companies, they talk about your 1.5 degree or 2 degree, which way you are complying. If you are 2 degree, then there are different requirements. If you are talking about 1.5 degree, if you are different requirements. So this is TCFD, right? This task force for climate disclosure. So those guideline is followed by different company. Yeah.
Perfect. So one final question for the day. Is it required to mention the financial boundaries of the organization for both accounting and reporting?
Yeah. Like everything, like what is your control area, right? So that is as the like scope 1 and scope 2 and scope 3. Similarly, any businesses, you have a set boundary, right? Which is directly controllable and which matters to you. I would say, don't say that my factory is my boundary. No, your boundary is not only factory, the supplier, the product you are selling to the market. So everything matters, to you. So that way the boundary is defined, right?
Great, sir. Thank you so much for the insightful session, and thank you everyone for joining in today. If at all we've missed any questions, or if you have any further queries, feel free to reach out to us. I'm also dropping email ID here.
You can also follow me, Amlan, put my LinkedIn.
Sure, sir.
People can see. I am also attached to several initiatives. I time to time update them in my so they can go through it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So meanwhile, we've also shared a feedback form. Kindly fill that up. Really kind of you if you can just take out 2 minutes and give us feedback. So we'll just wait for another 1 or 2 minutes, and I think then we can. And once again, thank you everyone. It was lovely hosting you all, and thanks for turning up in good numbers. And once again, sir, thanks for all the knowledge and experience that you've shared. It was indeed
Thank you very much, and all of you taking your time this Saturday morning, and I hope it should be useful. So anything you would like to know, you can in LinkedIn you can send me request, and any help I can do for your BRSR journey, I'll be very glad to do that. Thank you.
sure.
Have a good day. Have a good day and safe day.
Have a great day, everyone. Okay, bye-bye.